Hi, and welcome to today's session on resume writing. My name is Kyla Hennessy, and I'm here with Career Services from UPEI, located in Student Services, which is in the W.A. Murphy Student Center. My goal today is to talk to you and give you a little insight in resume writing that will help you. However, should you feel you need some more one-on-one time, I would suggest booking an appointment with any one of our career counselors at Student Services. To follow along with today's recording, it would be nice if you were able to click on this link to access a downloadable copy of a transferable skills resume template, a chronological skills resume template, and also a cover letter template. Additionally, you may also want to have a copy of your resume and cover letter in front of you as you go through this video recording. I'd like to begin with why you want to write a resume. First of all, writing a resume helps establish a job focus for you. Second, it summarizes all of your relevant skills, your qualifications, and your experiences and achievement in one document. It also helps a hiring manager get to know what they need to know about you quickly. Finally, a resume is meant to get you an interview for the job you're looking for. An acronym that I often use with students when writing resumes is CHARM. C represents the central message. This central message allows you to communicate with the employer what job it is that you are looking for. You also need to target your resume towards the hiring manager and basically identify what skills you can provide them for that position. Your resume also needs to be accessed within 30 to 60 seconds. This is the average time a hiring manager puts into reviewing a resume for the position that they're hiring for. Most important is relevancy. The information included in your resume needs to be relevant to the position that you are applying for. This means you do not need to include every position that you have worked for in the past. Finally is the mechanics. You really need to focus on spelling, grammar, punctuation, and ensure that these are accurate within your resume. The types of resumes we're going to look at today first includes the chronological style resume. This resume format is excellent if you have a lot of direct related work experience. This allows you to identify to the employer how you would be relevant for that position. The next style of resume is a transferable skills or a skills-based resume. This style of resume identifies the skills that you have already learned in other work experiences but may not be quite the same. So you're transferring that skill to identify how it is relevant for the position that you are applying for. Finally, there is a combination style resume, and this includes a combination of chronological as well as skill-based. As we proceed, I will identify the differences between each of these styles of resumes. First, let's look at the frameworks or the headings for the styles of resumes. There's a slight difference between chronological and transferable, notably demonstrated skill sections within the transferable skills. This section is not usually included in a chronological. However, if you want to do a combination resume style, this is where you would include both a demonstrated skill section in the same headings as the chronological one. Start of your resume. This is where your name should be first and foremost. I would advise making your name stand out in a larger font or even a different font that you are using within your resume. You would include your current address. Now, often for students, they might have a current address, meaning their school address, as well as a home address. If you would like to include both, that's perfectly fine. It's just a way of the way you format it on your resume. Then your phone number. Again, please indicate if it's a home or a cell phone number, and you may want to provide both of those. Just to mention, when you have your voicemail set up and you are knowingly applying for jobs, please have a professional voicemail. Finally, your email. Again, my My rule of thumb here is to not use an email that spells out anything other than your name. So often an email used with your friends may not be that same email that you use when you're sending out your resumes to employers. An example of how you may head your resume looks like this. Again, note how the name stands out. There's a telephone number, your address, and an email. This is where you get to be creative with your resume. There is no one format, there is no right or wrong. Be creative, but again, include all of the relevant pieces of information. Next is a career objective. First, what is a career objective? Well, basically, this is a tailored statement defining who you are and what position you are seeking for, so that when the hiring manager reads your resume, he can tell exactly what position you are applying for. Do you need one? No. However, 75.4% of employers do prefer you use a career objective. However, this is where, once again, I leave the choice up to you. An example of a career objective could be responsible Bachelor of Arts student interested in a blank position. So this is where you would fill in the title of the position that you're applying for. That will highlight organization, communication, and teamwork abilities. Again, giving the employer a little bit of an idea of who you are and what position you're seeking within their company. The next section of your resume is highlights of qualification. Again, this is a title that we often use at Career Services. However, you can come up with your own title. Often a profile is used, and this is where you refer to relevant pieces of information that target the job that you're applying for. Again, this is usually written in bullet form. It's short. It's directed towards that position, and again, it highlights numbers of years that you've been doing something, or often language or computer skills, or something that you're finding doesn't quite fit into other areas of your resume. So, for example, 5 years experience working with groups of children between the age of 2 to 10. Again, it's defining how long and who you worked with. Computer skills include Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Again, when you're referring to using any computer program, I stress this is where the punctuation grammar comes in, that you spell it correctly and use proper capitalization. Again, often individuals want to use language to highlight they are bilingual or trilingual. Identify the languages you do speak, and again, it might be speak, write, whichever it is, identify that, and again, use proper capitalization. Now, the next section of a resume, and it does not have to follow in this order, you order your resume into what is most relevant to the job that you're applying. So if the job asks for a Bachelor of Business degree as part of the qualifications for the job, then you could put your education second. However, if education isn't highlighted within the job description, you might want to move that later on into your resume. So as far as formatting your education section, highlight the title of your degree. And again, if you're just working on this degree, that's all right. You can indicate in this section what year you are in. Again, indicate what year you've started the degree to present, or if you finished the degree, your graduation date. Again, identify the university which you've attended, including the city and the province. After you highlight this information, you may want to include any relevant courses or special projects that you had worked on that, again, are tailored towards the job that you are applying for. Additionally, you may also want to include a section on scholarships or awards or dean's lists. However, if this is quite extensive, you may want to create an appendix for your resume with this information, and you can simply say, see attached appendix for scholarships and awards received. The next section of your resume for a transferable style resume would look like this. If you're using a transferable or a skills-based resume, a section that you would include would be your demonstrated skills section. And this section is meant to highlight the skills that are targeted or most relevant towards the job that you're applying for. you usually tend to pick 2 to 3 skills that are really targeted towards this job. The skill heading would appear, and then below the skill heading you would give a description of how you demonstrated that skill. Now, you may have used that skill in many different workplaces, so what you're trying to create is a strong statement that says you have really good, for example, communication skills that you have developed in a variety of different work positions. So are you wondering maybe what skills that you have? Take a minute to look through the list of skills provided here. Highlight or circle a couple of different skills that you feel you have gained in a variety of different work experiences or even school experiences. So again, it could be communication skills or teamwork skills, customer service skills. Any of these can be very relatable to a variety of different work experiences. And again, this may be the skill that the employer is looking for you to have for the job that you're applying for. You will note that communication skills is highlighted. Every position requires communication, and this is often a number one skill employers are looking for in people that they are hiring. So think of the different ways that you've communicated over the years, whether it be in a customer service position, or again, maybe it was doing some research writing or oral presentations. You've developed these communication skills in a wide variety of both your education and your work experiences. A sample of how you would put this statement together would look like this. Delivered a presentation to 50 participants for a health education awareness seminar, which resulted in recruiting over 20 volunteers. Now note the few things in this example. I've qualified the information and quantified it. So again, I've outlined how many participants that I was able to present to, where I presented, and what it resulted in. This is key in writing these statements. You want to deliver as much relevant information as possible to the employer. Another example of a skill could be customer service. So for example, 6 years of customer service experience, which has developed a solid foundation in communication, interpersonal, and teamwork skills. This employment section for a skills-based resume would look like this. You would again outline the dates in which you were employed, highlight the title of your position. And again, often I find students aren't sure what that title was. Be creative. If you don't know exactly the title you were hired in, give as clear of a description as you can. And again, simply outline where your employer was, the place of employment. This differs from a chronological based resume because you do not list then the duties that you did at that place of work. This is why you have your skills section. Again, in your skills section, you're referring to those skills that you've gained in a variety of different work experiences. So for example, if you're to use a chronological style resume, this is more of what the employment section would look like. Again, you would give the date in which you worked there, the title, where you worked, followed by those duties. And again, when you write these duties, you're again giving the employer a clear description of what you did while you were working there. So again, note the first one. Implemented creative learning strategies such as, where you would fill that in, that resulted in students studying more effectively, and so on. Extracurricular activities. This next section of your resume, often students feel that they don't want to include it. I would suggest including it because it gives the employer a little bit more of a clearer picture into who you are outside of just school and work. And often you've learned valuable skills in these extracurricular activities, whether it's volunteering, playing sports, all of these extracurricular activities you're involved in are very important and have helped give you relevant skills that you can bring into the workplace. So an example of an extracurricular, and often I see resumes where students will write something like enjoy reading, playing basketball, and hanging out with friends. Try to avoid a statement like that, and again, keep it consistent with the way you've written other statements in your resume. So for example, volunteered at UPEI Computer Summer Camp and taught students Visual Basic and HTML computer skills to help develop their working knowledge of computers. Again, extracurricular tends to fall near the end of the resume, but don't let this sort of be a weaker section of your resume. Keep the same strength and writing style you've had throughout your resume. This concludes part 1 of resume writing. However, I would encourage you to watch part 2, which covers references, cover letters, and helpful tips in both resume writing and cover letters. I would also encourage you, should you like to have your resume reviewed, to contact one of the career counselors at UPEI Student Services. We are located in the W.A. Murphy Student Center, or you can contact us by calling 566-0488.